Such a funky beat. Hey, y'all. Welcome to SJ Gets Down, the new podcast. You're going to love it. You're going to have fun. I'm here with my good friend, Ken, my co-host.
Hi, y'all.
Hey. So, yeah, this is our first episode. Are we going to call it a pilot?
Absolutely. It's got to be a pilot.
That means we're taking off the ground. Catching some air, hopefully.
Riding high.
Yeah.
Gulf Stream is 650.
Hopefully the emergency exit doesn't blow out. All right. So, yeah. Hey, I'm excited. I'm Steffi Joe.
I'm Ken.
That's Ken. That's my neighbor from up the hill.
Used to be.
Used to be, yeah. My old neighbor from up the hill that they can't get rid of me.
So, SJ, let's rock it.
All right, let's do it. So we're going to talk about the hula hoop today. I know you're excited, right? You're like, yeah, aren't those for kids? Or, I don't know, I go to a festival, I see girls hooping. Can I do that? I see guys hooping. Can I do that? So yeah, let's talk about the hula hoop. It's something that I love. I grew up with. I hoop forever. And then I introduced it to my daughters when they were little.
Yes, indeed. I've heard this story. It's beautiful. Tell everyone.
All right. So Josephine, I think she was 6. She wanted to beat the Guinness Book of World Records for hula hooping. And she was determined. And she hula hooped straight for 2 hours. She's acting like she's sweating. It's like it's so hard. I was so proud of her. Anyway, she made it for the 2-hour mark and dropped it. And she's, Mom, can you check it out? Did I win? So, yeah, she didn't. I said, I'll submit your 2 hours and we'll see. Not telling her how many hours the first good Guinness Book of World Record hooper is. And
she could have moved on to something else before she could bust your chops about, hey,
exactly.
Mom, did I get the record?
That's attention span
okay.
of a 6-year-old, yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
The best thing. Okay, well, tell us, what made you get into the hula hoop?
I think I don't know. It was something my parents gave me, and I loved it because I loved music. And so my dad was big into music, and so he'd play music on his record player, and I'd hoop to it. Like, I just loved it, yeah. And then after the girls started hooping, I was like, I got to get back into it. It's too fun. So I got a good weighted big hoop my buddy Ben, his girlfriend, actually made. And I was like, it was just like riding a bike. I was like, oh, yeah, back at it. Now I want to learn some tricks. I want to actually take some hoop classes.
Wild stuff. Because I've always been curious about the hula hoop. Not a hula hooper myself.
But I made you try one of my hoops.
That you did?
Yes.
So what's the background when it comes to the hula hoop? Do you know?
I do. Okay, Ken, when I was doing research on this, it literally got me a little giddy because I didn't realize how old it is as a instrument, toy, whatever. 1000 BCE. Just let that sit.
BCE, people.
BCE. Egypt and Greece started making hoops. Obviously, they weren't like our hoops. They were made out of natural elements, wood, vines. Bamboo. And they did it for play and fitness, obviously. Because you know the Grecians, they like to eat and they like to drink. So, yeah, they probably had to get a little fitness in. I just think that's so interesting in a really fun, cool way. In 1950, the hula was added to the hoop. So it was called the hoop at first. Hula was added to the hoop because of the Hawaiian little hula. And there you go.
That is interesting. So, okay, there were a couple of things I looked up as far as the hula hoop, knowing the pilot episode was going to be about this.
I love that you explored this.
Oh, undoubtedly. Did you know Eskimo kids, for example, they would use hoops to perfect their harpooning skills?
Because of balance?
Which would make sense. Oh, absolutely. And I think I brought this up to you before as far as the Lakota tribe for many centuries now.
That's cool.
It's been a big part of their circle of life, which is using hoops to tell stories about transformation.
So are they doing while they're hooping? Or are they?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's really cool.
And these are like,
we got to look at some videos of that.
Absolutely. It's like animals and all kinds of stories about the whole tribal lore, apparently.
That's
No,
cool.
no.
Okay, I got one for you.
Please.
NASA is astronauts train to go in space hooping because it brings some more balance, like you were talking about, agility, strength, like core strength. And they're actually, this is one of the few exercises they can do in zero gravity. I'm an outer spacer. I come from another world, people. Just saying. I'm kidding.
I'm just trying to get the visual, especially up there on the International Space Station.
Zero gravity. I know, because weight wouldn't matter anyway. But I would think just you're floating, and if you're just moving a little bit, I'm sure it's just nicely. You don't have to work at it, so it's probably not. It's more movement for your body. When I hooped last summer, like I sweat. Like it's a workout. If I hoop for an hour, it's really good. You got to get the right tunes on. Beyonce hoops. I've hooped to Beyonce a million times. So, yeah. And other really good.
Hooping to that Cowboy Carter kind of thing, huh?
Yeah.
We like that.
Yeah. The Queen Bee, like, she's
Okay.
she's fun to hoop to.
Have you ever seen her hooping and any videos or anything like that? I'd be
No,
curious.
I just read that
Okay.
I don't know if they're something to look at. For sure.
You know, one of the fascinating things in my research about this, one, it's really interesting that the fad died out in the 80s, they say, except in the communist bloc, Russia and China, which at one point looked very down on the hoop as Western excess and just, oh, look at these stupid.
Gyration.
Yes. Well, that's why Japan actually banned it for a time because it was
Moving your hips.
exactly. They found it to be morally indecent and a challenge to moral authority in that society. And
surprised.
yeah, obviously they moved on from that. And
But so in the 80s when it died down here, you're saying it took off
in the 90s, actually.
in the 90s.
In the 90s, in
Yeah.
the Eastern Bloc countries, it became a really huge thing over there.
So how did the hoop? Yeah, it took a little rest of sorts in the U.S., but I wonder what replaced it. Or phones?
Phones, and because
That's
and
interesting,
you blade, so
Yeah.
right. The fact that when you think about the 90s into the 2000s, it seemed like rollerblading and the various offshoots
Right.
were probably more hip.
Nunchucks.
Right. Well, and
kidding.
people weren't going to raves and
Right.
festivals.
Right.
A little bit
Yeah.
harder. Yeah. And so I wonder if that's something that helped bring back the hoop craze.
It was the culture.
The culture.
The culture and climate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Music. I
okay.
mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't
Sure,
know.
no, because
Yeah.
it's funny because one of the things I think we brought this up a while back about the string cheese, how they have the hoopsters, I believe it is. And it's
I
like a
love
whole
that.
cult of folks at their shows that,
I got to look them up. They probably have a Facebook page or something.
they totally do.
Yeah. The Hoopsters. All right. I love it.
Right? And I know that you being the human beatbox and going to all kinds of musics, is that something you see a lot at shows?
I see a lot of it like at EDM festivals for sure, and probably some jam band stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, there's always, especially if you do like a 2 or 3 day camp out, there's always a chick or two on the campsites working their hoops. I love it. Yeah.
So can you bring these in? Obviously, you can bring them into the shows, and they're
Yeah. Yeah. I
Wow.
mean, it's not a weapon. And my daughter, Jo, that does her festival stuff, she's got a breakdown one. So it's like in 4 pieces, but it also has LED lights on it. So she can break it down, put it in her bag. But it's not weighted, but it is cool. But you can bring a hoop in, of course. If you're car camping or tent camping.
Okay, let me circle back on something, Carrie. Maybe in the previous conversations that we've had, it's gone over my head, which is no surprise. So when you say weighted, is that opposed to something you buy off the rack? Let's say the $1.99 Whammo.
Yes. Yeah, the Whammos, that came out in the late 50s. And obviously they had a good marketing team. And obviously kids needed something to play with. But it's cool that it's, yeah, we'll go into that. The weighted hoops. So, okay, you guys, if you've never hooped before and you're like, that looks like fun, but I can't do it, just do me a favor. Google, whatever, find somebody locally or look around your area for a weighted hoop. And you want one almost like double the size of your midriff, your abdomen area. You want a good, what is it? What are we saying? I'm so bad with
dimensions.
Dimensions. I don't. Let me think about this.
Okay.
I don't know. 36 to 42 inches. There we go. Yeah, and if it's weighted, you can just get a nice little hoop going, and then you can rotate around the other way. You shift, and you've got to put your feet apart, 1 foot a little bit, whichever your dominant foot is, a little bit in front of your back foot, and you can just play with it. But you can do this. Okay, anyone can hoop if you can stand up. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. So I'm a massage therapist by trade, body worker, and some of my old folks that have hip problems, I have two that have went out and bought a weighted hoop, and they love it because they can do it. They're like, oh my gosh, and they can keep it up for 5 or 10 minutes, but that's huge. I mean,
undoubtedly.
Yeah, for just the movement alone.
So let's explore that really quick, because that's something I would be curious about, the actual health benefits somebody might get from this activity.
All right. Core strength, for sure. I mean, you're going to burn some calories. I forgot what it is. Those 200 or 300 calories. You hoop for sense. 30 minutes, which is not bad.
Very significant.
Yeah,
for a fun activity is like hooping.
Exactly. Big one, balance and coordination. Especially as we get older, balance is a big deal. Huge. Coordination is a big deal. And I think the mind and the body connect. So that rhythm just helps. It's almost like yoga or yeah. That's why the astronauts are doing it. That's why the Eskimos have been doing it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's a low impact exercise, but as I said, if I hoop for an hour, I'm sweating my balls off.
Okay.
I don't have balls, by the way, y'all. But if I did, they'd be gone. And stress relief. Yeah. It's almost meditative because it's so rhythmic. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You get into a groove, and if you put your AirPods on or your headphones on, you can go.
Okay.
Yeah. You can do it. I'm
okay.
serious.
So, get the health benefits. I guess a question I would have, maybe one for our audience who's really interested. Okay, we're not talking the cheapo whammo. What do you think it's going to cost somebody to enter to get a decent hoop?
I would say for the weighted, now everything's double, right? It used to be $30. I think you could find a decent one for 40 to 60. Find a hippie friend that makes them.
Okay, there's always that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I can get one of the girls to start making weighted hoops. It shouldn't be that much. Yeah.
Okay.
Look around. Yeah,
okay.
We have to do some research. See, I didn't do that.
Fair
and okay, how about
Likewise.
this? I will get back to you guys on that and do my SJ research. You do yours. Yeah, we can compare notes later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got something I wanted to ask you about, because you are a hooper, and in my research, because this is what we do for the SJ Gets Down podcast, do a little research every now and then. I was wondering, have you ever participated in like these hoop communities that are all across the country?
No, Ken, I haven't.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I figured you would have.
I am not surprised, though. Within every cool thing, there's a subculture. And I know, just from going to festivals and music stuff, there's a whole hoop culture. There has to be, right?
Undoubtedly. And that's what I guess apparently...
So where do they all get together?
That's what I was going to ask you about, because I did some research, but I still haven't figured out where they are. I know there were several in this town, apparently.
Right.
As far as folks that get together.
Do they have a World Hoop event?
They do have a World Hoop event, actually.
Are you serious?
In Phoenix.
Okay.
Big celebration
That's
every
where my
year.
dad is. All right.
Absolutely. In fact, there's a World Hoop Day, and around this time they have this event in Phoenix as well. So, like, World Hoop.
When is World Hoop Day?
I want to say it's sometime in October, but like we can get back in a future episode or look it up right now.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay.
Okay, you keep talking.
I will. Okay. Hey. Hi, y'all. You know, another interesting thing is
The first Saturday of October.
The first Saturday of October.
There we go.
Okay.
WHD. Oh, I've been missing out.
Yes, you have.
These are my people.
These are your people.
These are my. I need to connect. I'm super pumped.
Did you know that the hula hoop is in the Toy Hall of Fame? I mean, there's this place in Rochester that's got all this cool stuff. Rochester, New York, folks.
Yes, love New York.
And apparently, there's
Love
this
Rochester.
big exhibit dedicated to the hula hoop, because the hula hoop was inducted in the Hall of Fame, I guess, sometime in the 90s, I believe it was.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
Along
absolutely.
with the slinky.
Along with the slinky and all those other cool boomers
It's
and
gotta
Gen
be at the
Xers
top.
and everybody else come up with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, undoubtedly.
I wonder what it. Yeah, do we know? Is it like the normal plastic whammo hoop or?
That's the thing. They didn't have any pictures. So it's like, okay, let me
So
see.
we gotta
this.
go.
Exactly. We need sponsors.
All right, Rochester, you people, yeah. If we can come crash on your couch and go see the toy.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing I was curious about when it comes to hooping, have you ever thought about fire hooping given your pursuits?
Okay, I've seen it and I love it. And yes, I have thought about it. And I'm not scared to do it. I like fire and I like hooping. So I think the two together are really cool. I just needed to find a good teacher.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I can totally see that as far as...
Because at times I can be a little clumsy and I can just see me like, yeah, I'm on fire. Yeah, no. But
Yeah, I was curious about that because...
I think if the faster you go, it's got to be all about the speed, is what I'm assuming, just from,
Okay.
yeah.
I think that's something I saw on, what is it, Mood Hoops moodhoops.com is like a big page for fire hooping. And that's like I learned about,
Okay.
is it white gas or profit oil of choice and things like that.
So, yeah, so do they put the gas in, I mean, is it like holes in the hoop and they light it up?
That was my understanding, but I can't say I did that deep of a dive.
We got to do a deeper
Yes.
dive. Okay, we are going to do a second episode at some point.
The follow-up.
A follow-up of the hoop. Because, yeah, this is like something I'm very passionate about. And I think a lot of people look at it and go, oh, that's weird or whatever. And I don't think, or I can't do it. And I just want everybody to know the health benefits alone, plus the stress relief, plus it's fun. It gets you off your phone. You get to hear some good tunes. It's like a break, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact that it brings you so much joy and has your whole life and you pass it on to your daughters.
Yeah.
There's like a legacy going on there.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the newer generation is picking up some cool stuff that the OG stuff we used to do for fun.
Yeah, I see it all the time. Some of the younger folks,
loving it.
they have like twister parties on like Friday nights as opposed to hanging out in the bar and
They have
getting in
game
trouble.
night. They have game nights now. Yeah,
absolutely.
no, I love it.
They're
Yeah.
playing games like Monopoly and Clue and Sorry
Scrabble.
and Scrabble and
Yeah.
Tiddlywinks.
Tiddlywink. Operator.
Oh my, we're going deep in the well there.
Oh. What was the one, Life, where you put the people in the car? Was it Life?
You
I think
know,
it was Life.
yeah,
And you could have a boy or a girl. It was so weird. The little people, and you'd stick them in your car.
Absolutely.
Like, depending on the car.
I remember it vaguely.
I remember it vaguely too. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, we're going way back. I'm not that old though.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
neither am I.
I'm old, but I'm like cool old.
Likewise. We definitely know how to roll that way.
So what do you think?
I think we're rocking and rolling here. So why don't you tell the folks what they might be in store in the episodes to come?
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, you guys. For all of you that are just like looking for a little ridiculous fun, and you might learn something, little breather. The podcast world is huge. I just feel like this is something I'm going to be good at. Next week is the power of the magic 8-ball. I know you have one, or you've had a friend that has one, or you're a younger person and maybe you need to do some research on getting one. But yeah, you ask a question, you turn it up, and it says, ask me later.
I'm so looking forward to this.
This is going to be so fun. Because I actually have some friends that believe in what the Magic 8 Ball says. It's real.
Okay.
It's like a psychic. And it's a physical object. Super fun. It's
Let me
going to
tell
be
you.
cool. Ask a question and flip it up. And a lot of people actually, I don't know if they bet their lives on it, but I know they bet relationships and jobs and like moving on it. I'm serious. It's like a psychic and a little plastic.
Well, I'm sure
Magic 8 Ball.
there were Chiefs and Eagles fans like going, "Are the Eagles going to win the Super
Should
Bowl?
should I bet this money on it or not?
Should I put the red on it?"
No, I wouldn't do that. I do not suggest that. This is not, we're not going to do that. And then we're going to do confessions. I'm going to give you guys a number. I'm going to do it right now. So the SJ Gets Down podcast confessions number is 503-683-2006. And so for next week, I want you guys to call in now. Leave a message with your confession about a Magic 8 Ball story. And then the playlist. I'm going to send out a couple of my Spotify favorite songs. Actually, for this episode on the Hoop, and I think I have some of yours too. So yeah, we're going to add a little Spotify playlist at the end of this so you can get your weighted hoop and start listening. I think these are great songs to hoop to. Enjoy. We'll have some Magic 8 Ball songs.
Oh, absolutely. Maiden voyage. We're on our way to doing some cool stuff here.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you.
Love it.
SJ.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate Ken. Love and peace and be good. Let's smile and have some fun. Let's get down.